Are we rolling?
Does that mean rolling, Kenneth?
Is it our time to start talking?
iPhone, iTunes, party time.
Excellent.
Hey, welcome to iPhone to iTunes with Ryan Ahlwardt.
Hello, friends.
We are doing Rhythm on the Radio today, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it came together better than I ever heard it in my mind, and I'm excited to share about it.
Yes. When did you write this one?
I wrote this in 2009. I don't remember where I wrote it, but I remember who I wrote it for. The a cappella group that I used to be a part of, Straight No Chaser, we were doing a bunch of recording in 2009, and I think this was just a song that came through a season of just kind of killing some time in wherever we were holed up at that point. And I was listening to a lot of Sam Cooke at that time, a lot of Beach Boys. So a lot of like late 50s, early 60s influence came into this song, and it was originally written for a cappella. Like it was a vocal, I charted it out like based on who was in the group and what parts I wanted them to sing. And I knew I always wanted to record it, but we never really had a home for it. I think we learned maybe like half of it in rehearsal, but other songs took precedence, and it just kind of sat on a hard drive, but I always loved it, and I always wanted to record it and release it.
What would you say your inspiration was for kind of the heart of the song?
Yeah, I always heard like a song, or it was more that I saw like kind of a picture in my mind of where I wanted this song to be played. I always felt like this song could be kind of the soundtrack to like a high school gym prom in the late 50s, kind of like the scene, the Enchantment Under the Sea dance in Back to the Future. If you've seen that, that's kind of like in my picture what I was seeing in my mind for that song. But it's a song about dancing with the person that you love to the rhythm on the radio, almost like maybe the car door is open and it's an evening and it's just the two of you, and you've got the music coming through the speaker, and that's it, and life is good.
Why the 50s? Is there like a nostalgic piece for you? Like,
yeah,
is there like something associated with the 50s?
Yeah, I remember being a kid. I was like 8 years old at a family reunion, and I was impersonating Elvis for my family, and I had the hair slicked back and a tennis racket for my guitar, and I it was awesome. And I just always remember loving that genre of music. My grandparents, my mom's parents, who were really influential in just putting so much music into my life. They loved listening. I mean, at their home all the time they would have music on from the 40s, early 50s, more big band stuff, swing stuff, but
like Frank Sinatra,
Glenn Miller, that whole golden era of music and big band was their kind of thing. But then I got introduced by them to Elvis, then kind of on my own started learning more about Sam Cooke and like early Motown, Beach Boys, the Four Freshmen who inspired the Beach Boys. So a lot of these harmony parts that I then charted out for Straight No Chaser, like all of that was operating at the same time from an arranging standpoint and from a writing standpoint. I didn't want this song to be super intricate because songs from the 50s are like dun 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 dun. Like that's pretty much the entire song.
Yeah.
So
the intricacy comes from the vocal and from some of the instrumentation
and the arrangement. Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting. Like when I brought this song to you, I was doing some research, like going through old emails that I was like, when did I write this song? I found an email from Straight No Chaser's A&R guy, Steve Lunt, who has done a ton of stuff in the music industry. But his email back to me was like, really like the song. I think if we record it, we have to record it like they would have in the 1950s for this to really translate effectively to the listener. And so that's the approach that you and I took.
Yeah.
I tried to do that in the demo as best as I could, which we can listen to, but then you really were like, okay, how would they have recorded in the 50s? So
yeah, and there's some cool things that we did that I would like to share with you.
Well, let's do it.
Let's hear the
oh gosh, is this the original demo?
This is the iPhone demo.
Yeah. Oh boy, this ought to be good. I even staged a fake beginning.
I love this intro, by the way.
So fast. So that's me trying to be the Beach Boys right there. Like Brian Wilson. It's late in the evening. I know you're so fast.
I don't know if I'm feeling that it's late in the evening. It's more like I've had 3 cups of coffee and I have to get this track out to the group.
Yeah.
I need to hold you, honey, close to
Pre-chorus right here.
just wanna know.
So that rhythm of hoo-wop, shoo-wada-wop is kind of the thing that keeps it moving the entire time.
We'll take it slow. Turn the lights low. It feels like.
I like this part.
Now we changed some of the lyrics in the chorus.
Yeah,
Baby, when we're dancing, I don't wanna
that
let
stayed.
you go. You're the only one for me, and I just love you so.
That changed the last line.
Moving to the rhythm on the
We made that into the fourth line.
I love you, baby.
So that was the feedback that I got from Steve, our A&R guy, and our producer at the time, Deke Sharon, who is the godfather of acapella, modern acapella. To say that, I just realized how nerdy that was. But Deke, shout out to you. Deke's feedback was, "Hey man, really like the vibe. I think the group would kill this. The harmonies are really good. You've arranged it well, but the chorus doesn't leave me." At that point, doesn't leave me singing it after it. He's like,
kind of forget about it after it's passed.
he's like, you got to go for the jugular on that chorus. And so that was something that the song was written in 2009. We just released it in February of 2019. That was something that was sort of just percolating for a long time of okay, how do we make this chorus
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember we had a session, you, me, and Megan, who's filming this right now, where we were just we got to get the chorus. The band track was already recorded, but I was lyrically, it's got to change. Something's got to change. And so we just started throwing all these ideas against the wall. And I was okay, make rhythm on the radio the last thing that people hear. That should be. And then I think Megan threw out like the rhythm on the radio. And I was ooh, okay. Yep. So then we had to find that third line. It was baby, when we're dancing, I don't want to let you go. You're the only one for me. I need to let you know. We changed that. You get I want an Oreo. Is that what you said, Megan? You get my heart.
Double stuffed.
You get my heart beating every time you pull me close. When we had that, it was write that down right now. Don't lose it. And you were typing. And then we had, finally, after 10 years, we had the chorus that it needed for the song.
It really glued the whole song together.
Yeah.
Because the song was already good. It just needed that complete package.
Yeah, and it's the chorus too. It's you gotta have the great chorus. I like the pre-chorus in this tune. The bridge is really fun. So the bridge was inspired by Huey Lewis and the News, who I also love, and they grew up more in that era. So the harmonies in their songs, the way that they would voice the harmonies, I really wanted to replicate. And it's really hard voicing. It's a major 7 chord, and I've got, this is super nerdy, but
That's all right. I got some nerdy stuff I'm going to throw your way too.
It's a half-step rub that instead of, let's say it's G, B, D, F sharp, which is a G major 7 chord, I've got the G and the F sharp rubbing against each other. And so I think when we recorded it, we tracked the top 3 parts and then we just took them out, I think, so I could sing that half-step part without having it...
To sing it in tune, but still have it...
The performance was there, but yeah, nothing was in conflict as I was actually trying to record.
Yeah. Which kind of makes you appreciate the old school way that they would do the Sam Cooke era, Nat King Cole. I mean, they didn't have near the tools that we have today, and so it was you have to nail it. It
was 4 or 5 people in suits standing around one microphone. Their parts are rehearsed, they've got it, and they're impeccable.
And they would mix themselves, so it's if this guy was singing too loud, they'd back him up a little bit or have him sing quieter.
Sam Cooke, that early Sam Cooke stuff, when he came out of his gospel tradition, which is where he sang with the group called the Soul Stirrers, you can hear in his early recordings how those harmonies still bled into his pop stuff, his very early pop stuff. You Send Me is a perfect example of that. I Love You for Sentimental Reasons is a perfect example of that. Which is that
sonically, For Sentimental Reasons was where I kind of took this.
Can you pull I Love You for Sentimental Reasons up of kind of how you wanted to treat the texture of the song?
I think so.
Okay.
So I'll pull up Spotify and you... Why don't you talk for a minute?
Quick, dance for a while. Sam Cooke, he actually incorporated male and female background singers. And so the way that the harmonies were structured were so layered and on top of each other. But when they all work out perfectly, it's absolutely beautiful. And so
here we go.
Pull up.
I love you, 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 I love you. I love you, 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 I love you.
It's
I love you.
same part, like repeated, but the way that it's sung is so perfect. Like it's so evident that they have rehearsed, and then they just walk in and do it. I had to literally read like, what part did I write 10 years ago, and try to perform that, where normally we double track my background harmony vocals, but you were like, hey, for this it's got to sound like the 50s, so you're only getting 4 parts, so make this take work.
Yeah, it's 4 people.
And so that's the approach that we took, that I think makes it more of an authentic 50s kind of sound from a production standpoint.
Yeah.
For the tune.
No, I love it, man. And, you know, kind of technically what I try to do is to use a lot of the same tools that they would have used.
Okay.
So Sam Cooke, a lot of his stuff that he would record, he would use what's called a ribbon microphone. And so there's differences between like the ribbon microphones and the condensers, and we don't need to get into all that, but the microphone that you use in my studio was developed by the Slate Digital Company.
Okay.
And so what I actually have is one microphone and one preamp. And it's actually this microphone. Right?
Oh, nice.
Right here. This one.
Brought to you by Slate Digital. Trademark Slate Digital Industries 22.
But what's cool about it is the software that comes with it. So the software is all the different microphones. So I've got, you know, vintage Telefunken U47 sounding mics. The ribbon mic that I used on yours would have been similar to what Sam Cooke would have used.
So you don't have to go spend $3,000 or more trying to find an old vintage ribbon microphone.
Yeah.
It's already built into the software. Oh, $1 million.
Yeah, so it's built into the software, which is
that's really cool.
So, you know, one of the cool pieces about having that is, you know, you can do a song that sounds like the 50s, but then we can turn around the next day and do a modern pop song.
Yeah, in real time, you can change from microphone to microphone to microphone to really dial in the sound that you're hearing as a producer.
Yep, and I was in Nashville, and I had forgotten another microphone that I had, and I had a singer that I knew was going to eventually be using this, but I was like, I need something else to perform because I didn't have all the tools.
Okay.
So I needed another mic to go with it.
Yeah.
Recorded them and actually took the real one and paired it with their version of that same microphone.
Oh, okay.
It was spot on identical.
Huh, interesting.
It kind of blew my mind.
So they've done an excellent job somehow of replicating those sounds.
Yeah, and we used, we used a lot of like tape emulator things and the old 50s consoles.
It has a warm, vintagey analog vibe to it. Which is ironic that it's all digital effects to make it sound analog.
So let's hear it.
Yeah. Ooh, let's play it.
Ooh.
So we slowed it down. I think we shifted the key down maybe by a half step. I think. Did we do that? I think so. We certainly brought the tempo down.
Yes, we did bring the tempo.
Okay, let's hear it. Same exact parts as before.
And I think the whole song you did the same parts.
I recorded the entire acapella arrangement.
The way that the chart was.
That became sort of the glue. That doo-wop group was kind of moving the song along.
Yeah.
And then we added real drums, real bass.
It's late in the evening. I know you're weary, baby.
When the band comes in, it's so good. So it's Matt on drums, Randy Melson on bass. Randy's played on almost all my stuff since last April of 18. And Simon Gugela down in Nashville. When you sent him the track, how did he record the guitar?
He had, he started doing, he'll do a mic on the amp.
Okay.
But then he'll also do just like another mic in the room to where it sounds like it's part of the atmosphere that he's in. So there is some reverb and stuff on the guitars, like they would have used like a spring reverb, but you're getting some of that extra ambience. Here's the new chord.
Baby, when we're dancing, I don't wanna let you go.
Just his little.
You're the only one for me. I need to let you know. You get my heart.
Do you know what kind of guitar he played on?
I don't exactly.
Okay.
He did use a hollow body.
Like a rhythm on the radio.
I think it was a Gretsch, but I don't totally know.
I love that first chord.
I like this part here too.
Yes, it's been a long time since all we had was
That idea was my friend Tyler Trapp from Straight No Chaser. When I would send it out to the group, I would get feedback from guys, and he was like, "Hey man, on that second verse, where it's been a long time. He's like, drop the band, everything goes out. And then, been a long time since all we needed time together, baby. He was like, then have him come back in. He was like, cool little trick. So shout out to Tyler Trepp from Straight No Chaser.
Hey,
what up, Tyler?
It's cool how it kind of turned into what it did, and I feel like we did a pretty good job of hitting the 50s vibe.
That's what's fun about working with Matt. So like if you're an artist, a songwriter, and you're like, man, like we can experiment a lot since we're releasing singles every month. We will be doing a Christmas album and an 80s EP this year. So like we're going to have consistent sounds track to track. But what's been fun lately is like we've done everything from like this Hawaiian beachy ukulele driven piece to a song that you could theoretically hear from the 50s. I sent this to my mother-in-law who like that was her era, more the 60s, but she loves this kind of music. She's like, "Oh my gosh, it sounds just like an old 50s record." I'm like, "That was the point."
Yeah.
And so what's fun with, we're both growing and stretching as a writer and also as a producer, and then you throw in the wonder of technology to be able to just be like, hey, let's play in the sandbox a little bit, you know? And so it's been really fun. And then the process from there is you send a WAV file to me, I uploaded it to my distributor, CD Baby helped get this all out to Spotify and iTunes and blah, blah, blah. And so it's been interesting to see, though, this was a song 10 years in the making.
Yeah.
That had to find the right cast of characters and the right instrumentation to actually become what I think it started as 10 years ago. So,
well, and I think too, letting it marinate. You were able to spin it when the time came for it's like it has to get done now. It's like, okay, the pressure's on to finish the lyrics.
And we found a great picture for the artwork.
Yes.
Megan, who is filming this, is my graphic designer and videographer. She's just amazing. But I was like, wait a second, I think I've got a picture of my grandparents as teenagers at that point it was technically the late 40s, but I was like, I think I've got something. And so Megan and I were going back and forth about like, can we make it look like an old, vintage LP cover? And she did this cool thing, like in the bottom right corner, they would often have like the record label icon and like, stereo sound or whatever. And so she was able to take those elements and make that, and found a really cool font. And it just like clicked. Like once the chorus clicked, the production worked, and then the artwork, it all came together. And it's like, oh, this is exactly what I was hoping for. I just couldn't put my finger on it. So if you're working alone out there, find other people who you can toss ideas out with. I think creativity done in isolation can sometimes be genius, but really having the other people come in and help you collaborate, like don't be afraid of collaboration. I think sometimes that as artists, we can like want to box out our space and be like, no, man, this is my turf. But it's risky, it's vulnerable to kind of hand your baby over to a producer. And so find someone you can work with. Like Matt and I have been friends for, going on 5 years now.
Yes.
Like in each other's lives, not just making music. And so that, I think, added such an important piece to not only this song, but all the stuff that we've been creating.
One of the things that I would say for any artist or writer that's out there, to piggyback off of what you said, is like your approach with your music is very it's very open-handed. You definitely have opinions in certain spots.
Oh, for sure, I've got opinions.
Yeah, but there's an openness in going like, okay, well, that's the idea. Why don't you run with it?
Right.
And trusting that someone's going to do a good job with it.
Yeah,
and I think it can be hard to do.
It's the fun thing, like hitting publish and seeing it out in the world. And then the tricky part that I'm learning, even more of a challenge, is the promotion of like the new music, where it's like you can tease a release, but then how do you keep people engaged? So we've been doing that a lot with my Patreon community. You can go to patreon.com/RyanSongs, check out everything that's going on there. Megan produced the Patreon video that you'd see. And so what's cool is like you don't have to necessarily have the world's biggest hit with every single release. Like this is a very niche song. I think we timed it to come out around like the month of love, like Valentine's Day. So there was some strategy behind that, but like finding other people who can help you promote these songs as well, and apply the same creativity that you would in the studio to the marketing and promotion of your music.
Absolutely.
You have to.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we heard the iPhone version.
Yeah.
The iTunes version's out. Where can people find it if they want to check it out?
Yeah, it's streaming everywhere. Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Google Play. Just check out Rhythm on the Radio. Type in my name and you'll find it. High five!
High five! Thanks for watching. Bye.
Oreo.
When you twist and pull apart, you get
a double stop. An Oreo.